If you've built voice AI assistants before, you probably know that the underlying tech isn't really the complex part. But instead, you're facing an agent that seems to work, but then has all of those edge cases in which it fails. This is frustrating, not only for you, but as well for anyone who wants to use the voice AI agent. Now, I'm sure you tested the assistant a lot of times, but was that enough? Did you use the right tests with the right methods? And how do you know if the testing you do is actually good in the first place? These questions occur regularly inside of our voice AI community, and I have to say that it's incredibly common that the issues that many of you face aren't even actual issues. But let me explain. Around a month ago, we had a client in the US in the healthcare industry, and they had around 1,500 offices. We built a massive solution for them that took us over 3 months to build, including all the solution validations for the CRM provider, which needed to be HIPAA compliant, so it's another big thing. However, we built the solution, it was working well, it did everything it was supposed to, but then we faced a big issue. When the client's team was testing the agent inside of the offices, they mentioned that it's not working as supposed to. It was making problems, it was not good, it lagged, it didn't answer based on what they said, until I realized what was actually happening. Their team managed to do tests that are just not a thing in a real world scenario. And the best of them is probably the no example. They literally just talked to our voice AI assistant that could check for different patients, whether or not they exist or they are new, what insurance plans they have, booking the appointments. Every single interaction of the assistant, they simply answered with no. Just imagine a human that calls another human and just answers no for the whole call. You can obviously guess that this is not going to bring you a good outcome, right? Which is also the reason why we learned the hard way that people aren't really good in testing real-life environments. They often don't understand what the actual, real, valuable solution needs to have, and they also don't know how to do the test properly. Now, this no is obviously a very harsh example that just showcases and makes it very, very clear why people need to be briefed on how they need to talk with assistants. Because in the end, you want to provide a solution that brings value to the client and answers their question, not some random question that you come up while testing. And obviously, non-stop answering no is definitely a worse example, so it's the best to showcase that. So when it comes to voice assistants, you always want to make sure you focus towards the results, the actual outcome, the actual value that it can provide inside of the solution while testing, instead of just trying to test it against all kinds of really weird cases. Now, there is obviously always a range where you want to make sure things are covered, especially if it comes to guardrails, etc. But surely not against someone non-stop saying no to the assistant. Because obviously they mostly don't have any good intentions and probably not going to use the service anyway, because why otherwise would they just call someone and say no all the time? Right here on the screen, I'll share with you a solution that will help you understand what actually matters. Now you can see I have a voice AI testing funnel that I just created. It's a very plain example, but I want to make sure you understand it in depth because it's all based on certain steps to basically funnel down the whole progress, making sure that you actually provide a reliable, valuable, and powerful solution to the client that they are happy with, which also includes obviously briefing the client about how to test things. We're starting with the top to the bottom because the top is basically where we enter the whole market, and this is actually something that we often even start within the discovery phase of building a voice assistant, which is understanding the conversational flow. Now, what I mean by that is you obviously can build a voice assistant for all kinds of use cases. You can obviously build an appointment setter in Chinese for a US company, which most likely doesn't make any sense because no one of them speaks Chinese. So you can build whatever, but it makes sense that you actually understand what is necessary. I'm using those harsh examples to make it very, very clear for you, by the way. So understanding the conversational flow is one of the most crucial things that a lot of people don't even think about because they don't even know themselves. But simply imagine that they already do some sort of call recordings in the company, right? There's someone manually sitting there asking them about appointments. When someone calls in, say, okay, are you an existing patient? Okay, cool. What's your number? What's your insurance ID, etc. They type them in the system. They put them in. There is a flow. There's a flow in all of those conversations. Because mostly all of the clients that come in, they call about some specific things, and it's usually a small amount of specific things that they call for, which is either scheduling appointments, maybe canceling an appointment, asking them general questions about when the practice is open, when the doctors are available, where the doctor is available, etc. So understanding this conversational flow is becoming super powerful for you because it allows you to actually see where the value lays in the solution that you're going to build. Because what's the solution if it doesn't provide value, right? So making sure that the use cases that come from those manual calls are covered by the voice AI is super crucial. So now starts the question, how do you get access to those? How do you actually figure them out? And there's obviously the manual way, meaning that you actually get access to their calls or you just ask their team and just try to figure out what the normal customer calls in for, what the main thing is that they want, and how they solve it for them. That allows you to see this whole flow and basically build out a visual mind map or potentially even just a conversational pathway that makes it visible to you at which point which customer does something. That's step number one. Then there are also other tools like Canonical, for example. So if we head to a cool site called voice.canonical.chat, and they also have a nice platform that allows you to analyze calls. So if you have transcripts available or potentially recordings, you can run them through their setup and you can see something like that, which is really, really cool. Call path analysis. It basically shows you the whole flow of a conversation. You can see greetings, appointment scheduling, product inquiry handling, etc. And it shows you the whole flow, where things are at which stage, and what basically happened. This again is just another little thing that helps you understand patterns so that you can make the most informed decision on what is most relevant for the voice assistant. And all of this is part of the first step of understanding the conversational flow. So your main goal is getting as much details about what's actually required for doing via voice AI what the actual employee is currently doing manually. This will put you super, super far ahead and is the most important thing for having the solid base, which then also helps you to obviously reduce refunds later in case your projects are being delivered because clients are not happy, etc. It just ensures that you have a high quality of standard. The client seems taken care of. They see what you're actually doing. They see that you also know what you're doing, which is obviously the most important thing, so that you can just build up more authority, more trust, and have them as a long-term client, working with them on more projects afterward. Then in the next step is basically evaluating relevance, because not everything is relevant, as you probably know as well. So if you already know now the flow, you see what they're calling in for, you wanna make sure you categorize things by how relevant they are to the business. If there's a use case that happens literally 80% of the time, or let's say 90% of the calls are about one specific thing, this is obviously the highest priority. That is something that you definitely have to cover. Then on the other hand, if there's some very specific cases where the call might be even taking 20-30 minutes because something doesn't match, maybe they need to update some information in their profiles or in the CRM system, in those cases, it's most likely not going to be worth it to build a voice AI system for yet. In that case, what we have often done, if we evaluated that something is relevant, but not that relevant that we need to build it into a voice AI solutions, we can do a human handover. We can do a human handover for really complex or edge cases to a human, so that the customers that deal with that specific issues are being taken care of on a more manual way and on a more dedicated or tailored way. So making sure you evaluate which things are relevant for the AI assistant, which ones actually bring the most money and the most value to the client. This is a super important step and should also not be missed, because it will save you a lot of struggle and a lot of anger as well in the long term, especially after you build out a feature that takes you a very long time, but in the end, no one is actually using it. Now, once you've actually dialed in all of that, then it's basically time to build out the voice assistant, make it work, make it functional, and then start testing. And testing, I basically put in here in 3 parts, and they're basically split, with the last part being the most important one, which I'm going to dive in as well. But the first thing is obviously manual testing. So once you build out a solution, you are the one who tests it. And I also say you, because you don't want to hand this to the client before it's actually fully functional, because it will cause other troubles, as you've probably seen as well with the no case I showed earlier. So manual testing allows you to understand what's happening in the assistant based on the knowledge that you have, based on anything that you've gathered from previously, so that you can see and adjust the assistant, which also brings in a majority of the improvements for bringing the assistant to maybe an 80 or maybe 85% accuracy. This is super crucial to make sure that the assistant works in the right way and to get the prompting right, so that you have really good outcomes later down the line. Now, once you've done that and you have actually deployed it, then it's time for prompt optimizations. Prompt optimizations is basically where you see edge cases that are happening, which can be partially when the client actually starts testing or when it's already live. So manual testing is something that you do. This is literally inside of your agency, or when you build it for yourself, that's something that you manually do. You just test it, you optimize it, make sure you cover a couple of use cases, see how well it works, and then basically just give it over to the client or have someone from your company. So if you're, for example, a managing director, you obviously don't know exactly how the actual customer support agent interacts with someone or the front desk interacts with someone. So in that case, you just hand it over to the front desk and you let them do tests. They can report back to you based on whatever their feeling is. And it's just important that they also are briefed on how they should test it, meaning they should test it based on use cases that are really common inside of the company, and potentially maybe even seeing some flaws or some edge cases or things that they can just mention, so that you can either handle them or just make sure that the AI basically can transfer them properly. So prompt optimizations is something that your employees do, or someone that is actually at the forefront or that works as with the actual phone calls that are currently manual, or you actually have them with live customers after you've deployed it. So In both cases, it's valuable, and prompt optimizations in that case means that you take the feedback from both the live calls, and with live calls I mean you can analyze them. You can analyze them based on certain success valuations, on certain success criteria, to see how well it does, if it books an appointment, if it fails somewhere, if it gets cut off, etc. And then start optimizing it from there. And for both cases, by the way, we have different tools that we leverage for that. And I've also shown them in some of my other videos. There's the Vapi Testing Suite, for example, where you can create test cases and automatically call the AI with those other AIs that can basically just try to cause certain outcomes or cause certain cases and see how well it performs. And then we also use other tools like Langfuse, which I've also mentioned before, that allows you to understand and really dig deep into single chat completions of the voice assistant. So if the voice assistant has one specific thing where you ask it something completely unrelated, let's say, why are olives green? And it's actually answering, you can then use Langfuse to basically temporarily adjust a prompt and see if the outcome changes and basically brings it more into the frame, and then use that updated version to actually update the assistant. That just makes it so much easier for you to do prompt optimizations and make sure you get the extra few percentages on making the AI better, basically bringing more value to the client. And once you've done all of that, you are probably already at a level where the AI is as good that it can just be fully functional in a production environment, meaning that you have it live, you can just monitor it, you can monitor it with Langfuse as well, understand how well it performs over time, use Vapi Test Suites to test it from time to time. And when all of this is running and you're already getting it to maybe like a 90-95% accuracy, then you can look into automated testing, which is kind of the last part right here, and which is one of my favorite parts because it's super, super exciting. And that is where you automatically start testing things. Now for automated testing, simply imagine that you have your voice AI in production, so people are actually interacting with it, they're using it actively. But now, instead of only having the people call it, you also have an automated system that can call them and just validate, first of all, that it works, right? That it's working correctly. It can test certain cases, it can test certain edge cases, because obviously, if you make adjustments to a prompt, you want to test them over and over again. And that's what those test suites are really, really good for. And you also obviously want to make sure you can analyze the data on top of it and just see if you consistently get the same kind of output. And all of them together are really powerful in a lot of ways and can be also packaged in an upsell that you can upsell to a client in case you have an agency or in case you want to just resell it to your own clients, because automated testing is a massive thing that brings a lot of value on an ongoing basis. And to make sure I give you some examples, I have right here 3 tools mentioned: Vapi Testing Suite, Hamming AI, and Sakura AI. To get started, Vapi Testing Suite, like we already mentioned right here, we use it usually for manual testing and prompt optimizations. However, they also have an API, meaning that you can also basically automatically test those scenarios and basically be informed about those outcomes, right? So it's some sort of manual, some sort of programmatic way on how you can test assistants, which works great with Vapi. The thing is, the interface is not as good if it comes to really understanding the data and leveraging that in a more visual way, or potentially even with some more edge cases or some more features, which is why I mentioned 2 tools that are literally focused specifically on voice AI testing, which is Hamming AI and Sakura AI. What they do is they provide you a whole suite of testing environments that you can leverage for getting more data out of your voice assistants. And this allows you to create certain scenarios that you can test against. It allows you to create interfaces to really understand the data of what's happening inside of those calls, create those flows, etc. So it is super, super powerful if you want to get a monitored reporting on an ongoing basis for your voice AI assistants. Now, I have to say though that Hamming and Sakura are more expensive, so you should definitely calculate at least a $600-700 a month recurring rate in case you want to rebuild it to someone else, because for those tools you pay at least $200 to $500, but they are worth it in the long term. So in my opinion, and I believe that Vapi also is just going to increase the quality of what they have available in the testing suite, including the features. So we probably see a lot of improvements there as well, but for now, Hamming AI and Sakura AI are still superior if it comes for getting actual data insights. Now with that said, you should have a better picture now of how the whole testing funnel looks like and why I think it's so important. And you will, by the way, also get access to those graphs in the description below. And in case you want to learn more about voice AI, we have a community, which is also linked in the description below, that you can join completely for free, where we share the latest insights, including how you can capitalize on this opportunity with over 2,000 other voice enthusiasts. So if you're interested, definitely check it out. It's definitely worth it. That's all from my side for now. Thank you very much for watching and see you in the next one.